Touch the leg. Welcome to Tibet this week, our weekly news on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Top news of the week. 5 Tibetan groups offer Longlife prayer to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. His Holiness the Dalai Lama supports relief effort in Assam. China sentences Tibetan writers to varied prison term, holds one writer in detention. Parliamentarians meet in Washington, D.C. to talk on Tibet. Central Tibetan Administration Delegation meets Special Coordinator for Tibetan Issues. Buddha's relic arrives in Mongolia, led by Law Minister of India. Office of Tibet, Washington, D.C. and Brussels attend Tibetan language schools event. This morning, 5 groups of exiled Tibetans who belong to different parts of Tibet offer a long life prayer to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. His Holiness, while addressing the gathering, reaffirmed to live 20 more years. Offering condolences to the victims of the unprecedented rainfall and flooding in Assam, Northeast India, His Holiness the Dalai Lama wrote to Chief Minister of State and made donations to relief efforts. Over the last week, due to heavy rainfall in Assam, the flood situation remains critical, resulting in extensive loss of life, devastation of property and displacement of people. Chinese government has intensified its act of targeting Tibetan intellectuals and writers with punishments including long prison sentences following the months of secret detention in the claim of committing an act of separatism for merely asserting their national identity and exercising fundamental rights in protecting the Tibetan language and culture. According to Tibetan Center for Human Rights and Democracy, a 48-year-old Tibetan writer, Rongwo Gyindin Lotu, was sentenced to 4 years fixed-term imprisonment and 2 years deprivation of political rights on 1st December 2021 by the so-called Shening Intermediate People's Court. Rongwo Gyindin Lundup has been detained by the Chinese security officers on 11th November 2020 from Rongwo Monastery in Rebgong, Malo, Amdo province of Tibet. In the aftermath of publishing his latest collection of poems, he was detained and sentenced. According to the center, another Tibetan, 34-year-old writer Thuptin Lotu, has been reportedly sentenced to 4 years and 6 months in prison by the Chinese government on the charge of inciting separatism around 14th of this month. Over the last 8 months, he has been imprisoned in an undisclosed location ever since his arrest last year. As reported by TCHRD, another Tibetan writer and scholar, Rongwo Khangar from Rongwo Monastery, was arbitrarily arrested by Chinese authorities in early 2021. He is reportedly in Chinese police custody since then. This Wednesday, more than 100 participants representing 28 nations attended the 8th World Parliamentarians Convention on Tibet. The convention, organized by the Tibetan Parliament in Exile with support from the U.S. Congress, was held in Washington, D.C. The inaugural ceremony in U.S. Senate Dixon Building, Capitol Hill, saw His Holiness the Dalai Lama delivering the keynote address through a video message from Dharamshala, thanking the participants. The United States House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi, during her remarks, talked about the plans to promoting another bipartisan resolution that will state the history of Tibet and encourage peaceful resolution to the status of Tibet.
The world has a moral duty to speak out with one voice against Beijing's abuses and stand up for the Tibetan people. That is why this forum is crucial, bringing together leaders of parliaments from all over the world to advance real autonomy for Tibet. We know we cannot allow the government of China to weaponize this false narrative as a means to deny Tibetans the right to fully embrace, again, their faith, their culture, their heritage. At the same time, it is essential that we put diplomacy at the center of our strategy for resolving the legal status of Tibet.
Speaker of the Tibetan Parliament in exile, Khenpo Sonam Temple, delivered welcome remarks and Sikyong Pemba Tsering made the keynote remarks. Sikyong deliberated on the key objectives of the session for the convention this time. Richard Gere, the chairman of the International Campaign for Tibet, and Damon Wilson, president of the National Endowment for Democracy, emphasized on the importance of sustenance and strengthening of Tibetan movement. On Thursday, the U.S. Congressional Executive Committee on China for the first time held a hearing in Congress the testimonies of researchers and historians. The inaugural ceremony was followed by a series of briefing sessions discussing on various issues facing Tibet by the members of the parliament from different countries, experts and activists. The first World Parliamentarians Convention on Tibet was held in New Delhi, India in 1994, and subsequent conventions have been held in Vilnius, Lithuania, Washington, D.C., USA, Edinburgh, Scotland, Rome, Italy, Ottawa, Canada, and Riga, Latvia. Central Tibetan Administration Delegation led by Sikyong Pemba Tsering on Tuesday this week met with Special Coordinator for Tibetan Issues Azra Zia upon the latest invitation at the U.S. State Department. Speaker Khenpo Sonam Temple, Deputy Speaker Dolma Tsering Tekang, Kalun Nurjin Dolma and Representative Namgyal Chitu were also present during the meeting. Sikyong and the delegates also paid a courtesy visit to Senator Dianne Feinstein, an ardent Tibet supporter. Sikyong Pemba Tsering also addressed the Tibetan communities in California and Minnesota before his attendance at the World Parliamentarians Convention on Tibet. Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia on Monday last week welcomed the relics of the Buddha that are under the care of the National Museum of India in New Delhi. The holy relics will be displayed at Gandhin Thikjiling Monastery Complex for 11 days. Representative Telo Tulku Rinpoche of the Office of Tibet, Moscow, delivered a message from His Holiness the Dalai Lama on the opening occasion that was attended by many Mongolian government officials and thousands of people. A large delegation from India was led by Union Law Minister Kiren Rijiju. On behalf of the Office of Tibet, Washington, D.C., the Chinese liaison officer Tsuldim Gyatso attended 25th founding anniversary of Losei Kheziling Tibetan Weekend language class on Saturday last week. The Chinese liaison officer reiterated His Holiness the Dalai Lama's constant advice on necessity of preserving Tibetan language, narrating the initial introduction of Tibetan language to its current precarious state under the Chinese government. Losei Kheziling Tibetan Weekend language class was established in 1996 with only 7 students enrolled. Over the years, the school's enrollment increased and currently there are 450 students attending the weekend school on the regular basis to learn Tibetan language and culture. Secretary Tile Wangdu from the Office of Tibet, Brussels also attended a fundraising culture event organized by Belgium Community's Sherab Nangche Weekend Language School in Antwerp. Secretary Tile Wangdu urged younger generations to become two-winged Tibetans, possessing modern world education coupled with traditional Tibetan education. That is all for today. For more news on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration, please log on to the following websites. Thank you for tuning into Tibettv.